Hello there, and welcome to Baking with Baba. Today I will be making Cuban Picadillo, sometimes pronounced picadillo. It's a Cuban dish. They make it, I believe, in Cuba. I will not be making it with eggs or potatoes, but we will be making it. So thank you for joining me, and we will begin this festivity. My tear ducts have been adequately challenged at the beginning. It wasn't really that bad. These are finely chopped onions, perhaps. They look more like diced onions, but these are onions. It's 2 medium onions, and we've begun the show. Okay, now what I have now done is I have chopped 6 medium garlic cloves. Now I was supposed to mince them. However, I've chopped them because I don't want to mince them. And so I have chopped them. I don't know if that's going to mess up the meal, but it's garlic. It's commonly used in Italian food. I think that's the only food it's usually used in, but in this case, we'll be using it in a Cuban dish. Next up, I will be pouring a half a cup of raisins and chopping them. I've never bought raisins, I think, in my life. However, I used to eat them in childhood. I believe only children eat raisins, but I'm happy to have purchased raisins for the first time in a very long time, as they are a key factor in the picadillo. Okay, what you see here is a half cup of chopped raisins. Now, it was difficult to chop the raisins. However, as the feature chef of this episode, I decided that raisins are raisins. You'll see that 3 out of 6 of these boxes were used. The other 3 can be used for leisure or to make this dish again in the future. Yes, another key contender in the picadillo is, of course, the pimiento olives. We will chop a half cup of these. It's not to be confused with pimento. There's no pimento cheese in here. It's pimiento, which I believe is a type of pepper. And the next step, of course, we've measured the half cup. We pour the olives like so, and now it's ready to chop them. I'm of the opinion, by the way, that olives are very good. However, I used to hate them for most of my life. All right, to recap, we have the finely chopped onions, debatable. We have the chopped garlic that's supposed to be minced. We have raisins that are somewhat chopped, but they are difficult to chop. We have chopped olives with pimiento peppers, and we have cilantro that was supposed to be minced, but I do not know how to mince cilantro. However, I must say, cilantro smells very good, and I almost accidentally picked up parsley. Do not put parsley in the place where it says cilantro. You're not supposed to do that. Someone did that. All right, to recap, we have the finely chopped onions, debatable. We have the chopped garlic that's supposed to be minced. We have raisins that are somewhat chopped, but they are difficult to chop. We have chopped olives with pimiento peppers, and we have cilantro that was supposed to be minced, but I do not know how to mince cilantro. However, I must say, cilantro smells very good, and I almost accidentally picked up parsley. Do not put parsley in the place where it says cilantro. You're not supposed to do that. Someone did that. All right, now we have 3 Roma tomatoes, or as the cookbook says, plum. Roma is a common substitute, or also is another way of saying plum, as far as I understand. Now I'm supposed to core and seed these. I do not understand that, so I'm going to look up to see how you do that. And then you have to chop them. I understand that part. That's done with a knife. Okay, I have cored a tomato. Okay, now look, I de-seeded it some, but there's nothing wrong with tomato seeds. Tomato, tomat, I believe is one of the popular sayings. A tomato is a tomato, tomat, tomat. So it's somewhat finely chopped. It's fine. The tomatoes are great and seeds are great, so whatever. Okay, now unexpectedly we have combined the cumin and the oregano because they will be put in the dish at the same time. And so we've done that, even though it was not expected. I was framed. Okay, now before you scoff at me, I've put the tomato paste with the cumin and oregano because it will be poured into the dish at the same time. What to do with the remainder of this? We shall shelter it. Shelter in place as they do. And during an F4 tornado, you would shelter in place, and we will shelter this tomato paste in place. And I'm going to put it in the fridge because, well, quite frankly, I don't know what else to do with that. Today's beef features no and beef. It's all natural and it's 90% lean, and especially it's Texan and it's minimally processed. We hope you enjoy Nolan rye and beef. I have added the onions. Again, these were supposed to be finely chopped. They are not finely chopped. However, we now will heat these onions for about 5 minutes. I put a half teaspoon of salt to taste. We just need to work on these onions. There's going to be a lot of onions. Now look, we are at a crucial period here. If I were to stop cooking at this point, there would only be onions and oil and salt. And that would not be a good dish. However, with the other elements of the dish, with the Nolan Ryan beef, there is the chance that this could be good. We soon will drop in the garlic. And at that point, it will be onions and garlic, and that's going to be a huge step. All right, let's do the honors of putting in the garlic that is very much not minced. All right, folks, there she blows. It is beginning to look a lot like Christmas. We've put in 1.5 pounds of the ground beef, 90%, and the onions and garlic are bathing with it, and we must make sure that it's cooked. I had to take a break to make sure you're very sanitary. I am a germaphobe, and so I made sure to wash my hands as this is serious stuff here. This is raw meat. Nolan Ryan sure did throw a lot of strikeouts, so I certainly hope this beef doesn't strike out. Okay, so there's no pink left, so we will begin to stir in the raisins, cumin, oregano, and tomato paste. All right, raisins. In she goes, in she goes. In she goes, in she goes. Okay, that's good. And now I will try to do this while holding the phone, so as my followers, I'll have to finish that later. And then let's add a little bit of salt. So as salt bay doth do, yes, a little bit of salt, just a teeny little bit more. It's all not exact. Yes, and bye. Okay, as I have been ordered by the cookbook, I put in 3/4 cup water, and now I'm letting it simmer for 7 to 9 minutes. Meanwhile, we await the arrivals of the tomatoes, which looks kind of like pico de gallo with a little bit of cilantro, olives, and the cilantro, which smells very good. And of course, the raisins put aside for later. We also have corn tortillas, yellow corn tortillas, which will be used to create tacos. Now, for those of you wondering, it's now story time. Picadillo, a ground beef dish popular in Cuba, the Caribbean, and Latin America, combines tangy, sweet, and salty flavors. There are many variations, but the essentials are a stew of ground meat and tomatoes with raisins for sweetness and chopped olives for a balancing touch of brine. That's olive brine, I believe. For an optional finishing touch, chopped hard-cooked egg makes an attractive and delicious garnish. I will not do that. Serve the picadillo with white rice or fried potatoes or on a mound of french fries. Sounds great. I will not do that. Or serve with a stack of warm corn tortillas and use it as a taco filling. I will do that. Note that I have chosen not to use the 80 to 85% lean ground beef because it said to use 90. And so that is very important because otherwise, slick, greasy. Now, as you can see, and if I'm looking at this as like a common man, I'm saying, yeah, there's raisins in there. And raisins really get a bad rap. Now, they're wrinkly. Often, if one takes a bath, your feet will get wrinkly. And they're often we say they're raisins, as if that's a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. They're raisins. They're supposed to be in this dish, picadillo, whatever you want to call it. It's a Cuban dish. And they're supposed to be raisins. That's okay. The olives provide great color and spice. We put in the olives. Most of the water has evaporated. And now the picadillo is really coming to life. Shout out to resident taqueria here in Lake Highlands of East Dallas. Makes a very good picadillo taco, which is quite possibly my favorite of their tacos. Maybe second. The carne asada is very good. This is perhaps a take on that taco. I still see the garlic. It is not minced. It really has been great hanging out with you all. We're nearing a close. We now have olive juice, also known as brine, I believe, which we're now pouring in. Actually, I'm supposed to do this off heat, so we will turn off the heat. And then in goes the cilantro, also pronounced cilantro, and in goes the tomatoes, like so. And I don't know how this will look in a bit, but we'll see. And there we have it. I truly can't believe this worked. We have picadillo, Cuban picadillo, just as they have made it in Cuba, except not in Cuba. This is some sort of iteration of it. It looks like you could put this in tacos, and so it will become now tacos. And that is that. I thank you for joining. I don't know if this will be the last video. As you can see here, we have the dish as is meant to be. The cheese is an experiment. That's not part of the dish. That is Mexican cheese, Kroger brand. However, the dish is complete, and we are now dining on top of the corn tortillas.